The 4% rule leaves you basically praying, "Dear God, kill me before I run out of money." That's not a good way to live. Hello and welcome to the Total Wealth Academy video podcast, where we discuss all aspects of investing in real estate, primarily passive investing. In other words, building your second stream of income, which is so important today. The concept of saving your way to retirement has proven to be quite ineffective. 95% of Americans who attempt that fail to successfully retire by age 65. So what we're going to talk about today are two concepts. One of them is delusion. The other one is risk. And they are associated, and I'll try to make that clear as we go through this material. But let's start with delusion. The delusion that is destroying America is what we just discussed. The delusion that you can save your way to retirement. And this is just proving not to be true. What people are not realizing is that to have $10,000 a month in retirement income, which sounds like a lot, but it's really not, especially when you talk about doing it 20 years from now or 30 years from now. $10,000 a month is not going to be a lot. But to have $10,000 a month in retirement income, you personally have to save $3 million. $3 million. And what I'm referring to is the 4% rule. The 4% rule, your financial planner, your stockbroker, people who in the know are going to tell you only take 4% of your savings every year to ensure that you don't run out of money. Now, 4% of $3 million is $120,000 a year, or $10,000 a month. Do you see why I say you've got to save $3 million to have $10,000 a month? But there's a problem, and it's a big problem. Does the 4% rule always work? The answer is no. Many times, many times, people are running out of money before they die. We have a case study where a gentleman saved up $5 million. $5 million and retired. Sounds safe. He ran out of money at age 96. He's 102 and still healthy. So for the last 6 years plus, he has been a burden on his family and on the government. And do you think he likes that? No. Do you think there's any quality of lifestyle in that? No. It's actually horrible. And the 4% rule leaves you basically praying, "Dear God, kill me before I run out of money." That's not a good way to live at all. The other challenge, and this is where the delusion comes in, is saving $3 million. Let's say that you graduate college and from day one, you make $100,000 a year. And you make $100,000 a year every year till you're 65, 45 years. That's $4.5 million that you made. But you have to subtract taxes, your car note, your house note, garbage, gas, electric, water, college for the kids, and so on and so on. Do you see how even if you made $100,000 a year for 45 years, it would be impossible to save $3 million because of, again, taxes and living expenses. It's just not going to happen. See, what you've got to do, if you want to understand what the 5% who do successfully retire are doing, you got to study them. And it's not hard to do. We've done it. And what you'll find is that 5% who retire successfully, they're not saving their way to retirement. They're not delusional. They've done the math. They know it can't be done. And so what they do is they work on buying income-producing assets. In our case, real estate. Now, why did we choose real estate? Because 9 out of 10 millionaires in the United States used real estate to become so. So it is the easiest, most effective way to become financially independent. And in real estate, if you make a 20% rate of return, you only need to have $600,000 saved up and invested in real estate to make $120,000 a year or $10,000 a month. So what the wealthy do, the 5% who do retire successfully, is they go out, they educate themselves, which is step one of any financial plan. You educate yourself on the investment. You then go out and begin investing. And again, it only takes $600,000, not $3 million, to do it. Now, let me give you an example of a member. He actually started off with just $100,000. He invested it in an apartment complex. Well, when that apartment complex refinanced, he got $50,000 back. He bought into another apartment complex. When that apartment complex refinanced, he got a big chunk of money, and he invested into a third apartment complex with that money. Remember, he started off with just $100,000 of his own money, and now he's got 3 apartments. But it keeps going. The third apartment refinanced, and he bought a fourth. Then, by that time, the first apartment complex had seasoned, and it was ready to refinance a second time. So they refinanced, and he bought the 5th or 6th apartment. Bottom line, with just $100,000, the guy has purchased and invested in 14 apartment complexes. 2 of them have sold, so he's currently in 12. It took him about 10 years to do it, but he now has $1.7 million invested and about $120,000 a year in income, $10,000 a month, all from $100,000. Because why? He went out, he got himself educated, he met the right people, he met the right sponsors or syndicators, partnered with them, and made himself pretty wealthy. And he's still fairly young. That $120,000 a year is probably going to turn into $200,000 a year by the time he retires. So that's what the wealthy are doing. Another form of delusion, again, delusion number 1 is, I'm just going to save my way to retirement. It doesn't work. The average savings for a 65-year-old in the United States is $400,000. Women live 20 years in retirement. 400,000 divided by 20 years, it's about $20,000 a year. Nobody's retiring on $20,000 a year. So that's delusion number 1. Delusion number 2 is not admitting that you're not in the financial position you want to be in. It's the delusion that it'll work out. Everything's going to be okay. The president will help me. The Congress will help me. The government's going to take care of me. Social Security is going to take care of me. These are all delusions. I'm not saying that Social Security won't be there, but you've got to understand, Social Security, I think the average check is under $2,000 a month. That's not going to allow you to retire and have a quality lifestyle. So what you want to do is look yourself in the mirror and go, I am not in the financial position I want to be in, and I'm going to make some changes to get in the financial position that I want to be in. And that begs a couple of questions that we ask on an annual basis. But if you're discovering right now that you're kind of in a delusional state, these are 3 questions that you need to ask yourself. 1, are you in a better position today than you were 1 year ago? 1 year ago. Are you in a better financial position than you were a year ago? And the sad case for the average American is no. The answer is no. Most Americans are more in debt 1 year later than they were a year ago. I think in 2026, they're saying that the average American's credit card debt went up $6,000. So they're actually in a worse financial position than they were the previous year. Now, some of you are saying, no, I'm in the same financial position that I was a year ago. Hadn't gotten better, hadn't gotten worse. I got bad news for you. That's delusional as well. See, if you're in the same financial position that you were a year ago, you're actually in a worse financial position than you were a year ago. Why? Because a year of your earning ability is gone. It's gone. Another year has passed. Another year of your life, gone. Earning ability, gone. Money, gone. It's all gone. You're actually in a worse financial position than you were a year ago. And that leads to the second question. If you keep doing what you're doing, will you be in a better financial position 1 year from today? If you keep doing just what you're doing, you're going to be in a better financial position in 1 year, or you're going to be in the same or worse? And again, for most people, the answer is, man, if I keep doing what I'm doing, I'm going to keep getting what I'm getting. And yeah, I'll be in the same or worse financial position in 1 year. Again, watch out for delusion. Delusion doesn't want you to think about this. Delusion doesn't want you to face the facts. It wants to just hunky-dory, happy joy, everything's great, it'll all work out. It's not going to work out. No one's coming to save you financially. You've got to take care of this yourself. And that leads to the third question. Realizing that if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to be in the same financial position that you were a year ago, a year from now, you got to change. And that's the third question. What am I going to do differently this year than I did last year? What are you going to do differently? That's the only thing that's going to change your financial position, is to do something differently. And that's what the members of Total Wealth Academy are doing. They're buying income-producing assets, either groups of single-family houses, or we're buying big apartment complexes and investing in those passively. We're doing something different. And as a result, we're becoming financially independent while the average person is going further and further into debt. So watch out for delusion. Watch out for delusion in all its forms. Now, here's the third delusion. The first one is, thinking you can save your way to retirement. The second one is thinking that everything's okay and it's going to work out. The third one is thinking you can change your life without risk. Risk. That's a delusion. And the reason it's a delusion is for the simple fact that everything is risky. Everything. Everything you do every day, all day long, has risk associated with it. I want you to think about this. If you get up and go drive to the grocery store, is that risk? The answer is yes. You could be rear-ended, paralyzed for life. Asking that beautiful girl out. Risky. She could say no, embarrass you in front of your friends. There's risk there. Or worse, she could say yes and then turn out to be a psycho in 2 months. There's risk involved. Everything is risky. What you've got to understand is there's not one thing of value on this planet that isn't on the other side of risk. you've got to take risk. I also hear people bragging, I'm risk adverse. My husband's the risk taker, or my spouse is the risk taker. My wife's the risk taker. I'm not the risk taker. Then your life's going to suck because everything's risky. If you want anything out of life, you've got to take risk. Now, it's got to be calculated, educated risk, but you've got to take risk. The problem with the average American is they think they're not taking risk. They go, oh, I got a guaranteed paycheck. Is there such a thing as a guaranteed paycheck? No. Having a job as your sole source of income is the highest risk position you can be in the United States. Because it's not if that income stream is going to end, it's when. See, your earned income, no matter who you are, no matter what you do, comes to an end. You either can't work anymore because of health, or you don't want to work anymore, but that income stream ends. That's the risk. Those of you who think, I'm not taking a risk, I've got a job, I'm being safe and secure, you are going to fail. I'm sorry to be so brutal, but that's why 95% of Americans fail to retire successfully by age 65. They delude themselves and they don't face the facts and they don't take risks. Now, the key to my success, my effectiveness, has been that I always took the risks that would take me where I want to go. And those were the only risks that I took. The problem with most of you, and why you don't like risk, is because you've taken risks that won't take you where you want to go, such as having a job as your sole source of income. You take that risk, and it can't and won't ever take you where you want to be. My effectiveness has been that I've always taken risks that would take me where I want to buy, where I want to be. It might be the risk of buying my first rent house, buying my first little apartment, doing my first passive investing. All of that was risk. But each one of those things had the potential to take me where I wanted to go. So it was worthwhile risk. Most of you are taking risks that are not worthwhile. And that's why most people don't like risk. They don't know the right ones to take. They take the wrong ones, they get burned, and they go, ooh, I'm never going to take risk again. Well, first off, that's delusional to say that because everything is risky, but it's also fear-based, and you can't run your life off of fear. That's a whole nother podcast. So today's podcast, there's really two major takeaways. You want to be honest with yourself. Get out of that state of delusion, that state where you think everything's okay, or you lie to yourself and say everything's okay, when deep down you know things are not working out. It's not happening for you. And you know that if you keep doing what you're doing, you'll never get in the financial position that you want to be in. And the second takeaway is you can't avoid risk. Risk is your friend. Embrace it. Make it part of your life. Recognize it. Make sure that you educate yourself. Make sure that you take educated risks that have the potential to take you where you want to go. Stop taking risks that will never, ever take you where you want to go. And if you want to study this, there are multiple excellent videos on YouTube on how to address risk and why embracing risk is so important for you and your family. You gotta take risks. So stop deluding yourself. Admit that you're not in the financial position that you want to be in. Admit that if you don't change, you're never going to get in the financial position that you want to be in, and get out there and start taking educated risks that can take you where you want to go. We can help. Other people can help, but find some help and get out there and start doing this. All right, this has been the Total Wealth Academy video podcast. We also have an audio podcast of our radio show. You can find out about both of those at totalwealthacademy.com, totalwealthacademy.com. If you would like to learn what we're doing to build wealth for ourselves and our family, when you're at totalwealthacademy.com, please also click the free sample class. That's a free sample real estate investor class that will show you how to build a second stream of income so you don't try to save your way to retirement. You build a second stream of income. That is the effective way to do it. All right, thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.